First of all, can you update us on the status of the lawsuit you filed that blocks the implementation of Obamacare here in the state of Florida?
The lawsuit to declare the healthcare law unconstitutional now has 20 states that have joined it altogether, including Florida, and the National Federation of Independent Business as a party. The federal government has filed a motion to dismiss, which we expected. We'll file a response to that in August, and there will be a hearing before the judge in Pensacola in September. I expect we'll win that, and I would like to believe that he will rule before the end of this calendar year. Now, I may be a little optimistic with that. This is then going to go on to the United States Supreme Court, and the question is whether they'll take a straight line of jurisdiction over it and avoid the Court of Appeals, or whether we go to the Court of Appeals. So it could be 1, 2, or 3 years in deciding this, but it is going to the United States Supreme Court. I'm very confident, as are all the other parties who are joining this suit, that we'll win, because the Constitution says only certain enumerated powers are given to Congress and the federal government. And in this case, there is no enumerated power. The rest of them, of course, are reserved for the states. There's no enumerated power that says just for sitting in front of your television set and watching TV and you're doing nothing else, that you can be penalized for not buying a product. In this case, the product is a health insurance policy. And that's what the federal government has done. And it's a critical individual mandate, critical personal liberty decision that's in this lawsuit. Plus, 27% of the Florida budget goes to Medicaid. And the federal government in this new law said we're going to increase the eligible people for Medicaid by very large numbers, by the millions for Florida, and of course millions more for others in other states. And it's going to cost you a lot more. You have to pay into it, and we didn't agree to that. So we think this violates the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, which is another states' right issue, and I think we'll prevail on both of those, but probably a 5-4 decision before the Supreme Court. It's going to take a couple of years to get there.
And you're a big proponent of the 10th Amendment, obviously.
I'm a big proponent of the 10th Amendment and states' rights, and I think this needs to be thrown out. And by the way, when it is thrown out, there's no severability clause, so the whole law will be thrown out. And that's very important, because I know most of us who feel this is a very bad law for other reasons as well would like to see it all thrown out. And the chances of Congress being able to do that, even if we conservatives retake Congress over the next few years, it's going to be very difficult to get the 60 votes in the Senate, get the president in place. So we really, really need to win this lawsuit, and I think we will.
Now, in regards to the BP oil spill in the Gulf,
yes.
As the Attorney General of Florida, what have you done, what can you do to help expedite the relief efforts, with the cleanup efforts?
Well, there are two things going on out there. One, I have a role officially in trying to help with the claims, and we've spent a lot of hours, and I'm really proud of my team, working first with BP and now with this new escrow account that the President set up with BP to get the fishermen and the people who are the restaurant owners and the people who have business and economic losses to help them file their claims and not have to sign releases and be able to get periodic payments. That's not worked perfectly, but it's a lot better now. The second thing we've done, because I'm out there a lot and I see this stuff, I am angry at the present time at the federal government, because I flew out over the Gulf off of Pensacola Beach about 3 weeks ago, and I went out and saw this oil sheen before it began to hit, and I saw no vessels, no skimming vessels, no ships anywhere. Since then, they say they put 28 off our coast. There are hundreds more that could be put there. I called for the waiver of the Jones Act and was on one of the national shows with that a couple of weeks ago. That would allow foreign flag vessels to operate in our waters, which they can't today. That's not happened, and because I called for the Jones Act waiver, a Florida company came forward and said, whoa, we don't think you should be doing that. We've got 4 skimming vessels in Louisiana right now. We've got hundreds more, and the federal government has not allowed us to use any of those to go skim. And we should be skimming a lot. They can only skim 40 or 50 miles, 250 yards wide, about half a football field length. We need every vessel possible, and we need new technology. The federal government and President Obama have done nothing to get us any kind of pilot effort on new technology like polypropylene sheets that I understand would attract oil like a magnet attracts metal.
Right.
None of that. None of that.
So it's safe to say that you're not satisfied with the response of the Obama administration.
I am not. They're way too
slow.
slow.
content, because Governor Charlie Crist is content with the response.
I'm not content. I'm not the governor, but I'm the Attorney General, and I've been speaking out. And when I am governor, and I believe I will be much more forceful with this than I am even in this position. And obviously, I feel I'll be more forceful than the governor, although I can't speak for him.
Well, speaking of that, if you were governor, hypothetically, if you were the governor of the state of Florida, would you already have ordered the existing vessels to come help out in the cleanup effort?
Well, the ones that I could order, of course, I would order. I'm not trying to be critical of him because I don't know what vessels we have. The vessels that are available that the Florida company mentioned are not in Florida waters right now. And there is a federal versus state issue here. But when it comes to our estuaries, our bays, the things we can protect, the emergency centers that are in every county, we need to empower them more than we have. In hurricanes and in our own experience in Florida, we know how to do this stuff. And BP first, and then the Coast Guard and the federal government said, whoa, 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 you got to do it all under our control. They finally sent somebody to Tallahassee, the Coast Guard did recently, that has decision-making powers. But until then, they didn't even have anybody in the state of Florida with decision-making authority. It's a mess. And so as governor, what I pledged and would do with everything in my power to make sure that we handle this every way we have to do. And if we have the resources ourselves, we're going to take care of what we have to take care of to protect the people of Florida in any emergency.
Now, you spoke last night at the Broward Executive Committee.
Yes. And
you said a couple of things. The first thing you said that experience is something that money can't buy. Then you went along to say is that you have a long record of public service, but that you're not a career politician. Now, my question to you is, you've been in politics for 30 years and are considered in part to be the Republican establishment. That's what you're being labeled. A lot of people are being labeled that way. Given the growing distrust of career politicians, how would you overcome the growing reservations?
Well, I don't think that the voter who's out there, who's a conservative, who's a Tea Party member, or the person who wants to, change things in Washington or in Tallahassee, is so much looking just to kick all the bums out. It's that they don't know who the good guys versus the bad guys are. But what they really want is somebody who has their shared conservative values. Somebody who when they say they're going to do something, they live up to it and they do it. And that they're going to be in favor, which I have ever since I was elected with Ronald Reagan years ago, been in favor of reducing the size and scope of the federal government, in favor of cutting the capital gains tax, not increasing it like President Obama is doing, so we can get our economy going, in favor of reducing the taxes, our corporate taxes nationally, so that we can get our exports going, removing the regulatory burdens on small businesses and the unfunded mandates on the cities and local communities, and doing similar type things in the state. We need to get our economy going here. I mean, President Obama seems to be more interested in growing the federal government than he does in growing private sector jobs or in redistributing wealth instead of in growing wealth. And the basic core conservative principles that I view, and I'm going to carry to the governor's mansion, about keeping taxes low and lowering them even to lure business in here. I have a plan up on the website, McCollum.com, that Steve Forbes has vetted and said if it's fully implemented, it'll create 500,000, 500,000 new jobs over the next 6 years in Florida, despite what's going on in Washington. It's that kind of reduce the regulatory burden, reduce the taxes the right, smart way, have litigation, real lawsuit reform, do things right, address those tough issues of property insurance, property taxes, water, that translates to jobs, that I think the people of Florida want. And that's why I say experience matters in this case. You can have the rookie go to Tallahassee and be a legislator, or maybe the new kid on the block go be your congressman or be your city councilman. But I don't think any of us want an unknown new guy who's had no experience being governor or president. We've seen what we've gotten with this president. And part of it is because he's just way out liberal, and part of it is because he's very inexperienced. I'm just the opposite. I'm very conservative. I'm a known product. I have a record you can check, and I'm going to be consistent in that, and I have the experience to be governor of the state of Florida and lead this state. And that's what we need, is conservative, consistent, strong, trusted leadership.